Welcome back. It has an international cast but a Singapore setting. The film Cages tells the story of a single woman with a blind son who comes to terms with her relationship with her estranged father.
No problem.
Starring Tan Kheng Hua, Mako Iwamatsu and blind child actor Dixon Tan, the movie also features cinematographers and composers from all over the world.
And to tell us more about the movie, we have in the studio with us Tan Kheng Hua and Graham Streeter, the writer and director, here to tell us more. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So let's talk about the movie Cages. How did this idea come about? It's a Singapore setting, but you have a whole cast of people from all over the world.
Well, I guess as a filmmaker, you're always looking for that perfect formula. For me, as a first film especially. And I came here, kind of fell in love with the country very quickly, seeing the songbirds and Tian Baru and things like that, and just saw a palette that I thought was beautiful. And then based on, I knew that that story was going to be a beautiful story, whatever it was. And then the visuals being such a, I'm a painter at heart and I'm an artist, you know? So I thought, well, I'm going to paint a really, really beautiful picture in my first film. And what's the opposite of that would be vision, perhaps, you know? So then I thought, okay, let's put in the issue of vision or not being able to see as a kind of an opposite to that. And from there, I think just everything kind of started to fall into place. And then you start looking at an international cast, someone who can support someone like Tan Kheng Hua as a Singaporean actor who would not be world known yet, but who could play opposite someone who could be heavy enough to pull it all worldwide and everything would come together. Okay. So.
Well, when you first came to Singapore, you said you were most struck by the bird cages here in Singapore, and that's how you came up with the title, was it? Cages?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cages kind of just fell into place as well. But yeah, honestly, I mean, I was just looking through a guidebook, trying to figure out something to buy while I was here on my first trip. Something not so heavy, you know.
And you want a cage?
Well, you know, but when you think about it, that old wicker bird cage is something that's quite beautiful. And I saw it in a tour book, and I thought, I could probably carry this back, no problem. But the question was where to buy it. And in that one postcard in the picture was Tian Baru.
Is that where you met Kheng Hua? She was at the bird.
She was
watching the birds singing. She bought her own.
No. But anyway, I mean, you've been following this plot. I mean, you're in it. You've really put yourself into this role. Tell us what's so beautiful about it. I mean, it is a very heart-wrenching, heartwarming story, but from your perspective.
Well, the first thing that's beautiful about it is that this guy, silly guy, offered me this role and I was 42 years old now. You know, a really good meaty role goes to very young women. And the first time I got a call from Graham, and then, you know, we met up and he gave me the script. And after I read it, the next day I gave him a phone call and I said, Graham, you're crazy. You know, I'm too old for this.
She's quite old.
But, you know, we worked and we talked about it a little bit more, and then we brought a perspective into the role that would be more suitable for a woman my age. The other thing that's very beautiful about the role of Ali is that it's not a two-dimensional character at all. It's really quite unusual. She's quite flawed. She's not the best mother. In fact, she's not a very good one. And she's not the best daughter. It's got lots of little corners that, for me as an actor, I had to kind of look into and put together on my own, which was very exciting, a wonderful adventure,
So it sounds like a very, I mean, like a real person. You know, there is no perfect mother, there is no perfect daughter. And then again, the cast members you're working with, tell us a bit about that.
I, of course, have watched Mako in lots of movies. And I must say it's very corny because when I finally got to work with him, and as you know, 1.5 years after the movie was made, sadly, he passed away. He really presented to me the sort of person with a commitment to acting that is so crystal, that really is so, what's the word for it? He's dubbed like the godfather of or the godfather
Grandfather
of Asian American actors. And I used to hear from my friends like Jimmy T all about this man and what he stood for and why he was such an inspiration to so many Asian American actors in the US. And when I finally got to meet him, I knew exactly why. The man just gives in every single take, 110%. He never pulls back. He never saves energy, you know, even if the camera is not on him.
Wow, I mean, we really feel it from you. And I know that he actually went to great lengths to even pick up the Chinese language to get the nuances
and a little bit of Malay as well.
And Malay as well.
Yeah, a little bit of Malay. And
he did about
he tried
2
very
months
hard
of
with Singlish, yeah.
Wow.
2 months of training back in the States. Actually, I had three great girls from Singapore that were on internships with me in my company in Los Angeles, and they came in every day. And they were teaching them Singlish and Chinese, basic Chinese, and just to try to develop the tongue so that the sound would be more...
Well, Marco once mentioned that he wanted to be part of your film because the characters, each character, in fact, in the movie was so well developed. But there's one character that stands out, Dixon Tan's character. You let him be himself in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the best acting is not acting, it's reacting, I always believe. So you can't, as you're an adult, I think you have more of an opportunity to kind of put yourself aside and kind of go into a journey. But for Dixon, I wanted it to be really, really as genuine as possible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it didn't hurt that I met him 4 years before we shot, too. And I nurtured with him the idea of the story and also really what it means to act, to be in a movie, what is a movie, all these things. And he developed from a toddler into a young man over that time frame. And like Kheng's role, I kept on adjusting his role as well. And he became more and more intelligent and more inquisitive, and the consequences were higher for him too as he got older in the story. And I think he just kind of grew with that process as well. So when we finally came down to shooting it, in a lot of ways he knew the story as good as anyone else.
His heart, right?
He had the full script like everybody else in Braille, and he did his homework. He's so smart.
The amazing thing also is that because he is in real life visually impaired, he really lacks a lot of the vanities of somebody who is sighted. Not knowing how you look, not having that perspective. He's just open and he's very instinctive. And because he is by nature a very sociable boy and he's like a child genius, he learns very quickly and, you know, and then yeah,
so he was probably the most relaxed on the show from the sounds of it. I mean, because he's not worried about the lighting, you know.
And always prepared.
He always has a bevy of, like, girls around him for some reason.
Major posse.
He's a real
thinking, what's going on with this dude, man?
He caught on real quick.
But it does sound like this was quite a long, drawn process. I mean, tell me, from script to screen, how long did that take you?
Well, you know, I can say it. You know, that's not a rare deal when you come from Hollywood. It was probably a 5-year journey, easy, to get the film from idea all the way through, even more than that. And it'll always be a journey from here on because a film has a life of its own after it's even done. But I think, all in all, when you look back, it wasn't ready when we were trying to do things earlier on, or when we were in, you know, it just kind of goes on its own.
Sometimes it's all about timing.
Yeah, and it's not like a carton of milk. It's not going to spoil, you know. And the more time you have with it, the more you can think about it. And I think that time had a value to it in the end, hopefully.
All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for coming in. Well, good luck. Hopefully, we'll see a second film. This is your first one you mentioned.
Yeah,
and more to come. Oh, there is something coming up.
Yeah, I'm doing another one, but I won't bore you with that stuff. But yeah, I do have another one coming up.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
But this one's important on this Thursday.
Cage is in fact
we got some tickets to give away. In fact,
it grabbed attention at the Busan International Film Festival, and hopefully it will grab your attention when you watch it. Actors Tan Kheng Hua and writer-director Graham Streeter there.